Hello, welcome to Testing Days. On today's episode, we will be talking about Kubuntu. We have already talked about Ubuntu Mate, Ubuntu, and Ubuntu Budgie. So we will have a nice chat today about the KDE flavor of Ubuntu. And here with us is Aaron. But let me introduce you to my teammates too, or even better, they can introduce themselves. Hi, Kyle. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm Kyle Pizzari. Sorry I missed last week. I am on the Snapcraft team, working on the Snapcraft and the general Snap developer experience. I'm also working on generic robot enablement. Zygmunt, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Zygmunt Kornitsky. I work on Snapd and SnapConfine. I think I missed more than one episode. Sorry, there was a hectic stuff in my life. But yeah, I'm currently trying to fix everyone's experience with the content interface and some good stuff coming up like next week, hopefully. And I think we have a guest here today, Aaron.
Hello. I would be Aaron Honeycutt. I'm with the Kubuntu on the Kubuntu Council, and I also work on the Kubuntu manual documentation.
Great. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leo Arias. I work on quality on Ubuntu. And this is a space just to have a relaxed chat with people from the diverse communities that are around Ubuntu. And they will tell us what they are working on and how can we help. And yes, last time I was all alone here. You all left me and went on with your lives. But Kyle and Aaron were on the Linux Fest. How was it?
It was good. There were a lot of people there. The time I haven't been there for a number of years, and it's grown quite a bit. When I went, every session was in one building, and this time we were split, I think, into three. Is that right, Aaron?
I don't know. I think it was. I honestly never went to any talks. I was at the booth the entire time. So I don't know if it was. It could have been 5 buildings for all I know.
No, my only criticism is that the main Ubuntu, or the main website rather, for Linux Fest made it appear like they were still accepting talks for far longer than they actually were. So I didn't actually get to submit anything. So next year I will.
Okay, so for people watching this on ubuntuonair.com, there's a chat box under the video where you can ask your questions. Aaron is here with us, but in the chat room there are plenty of Kubuntu developers too. So we can have a nice discussion between the video and the chat. Just feel free to ask your questions as we speak. And do you want to start, Aaron? Can you show us a little about Kubuntu?
Yeah, sure. I can show off our desktop called Plasma. Let me click on in here. Close this so it's infinite loop stops. So this is Plasma. I'm using the default wallpaper that's included, but I'll change the Breeze Dark theme instead because it's easier on the eyes for me. And here I have our default file manager, Dolphin, that has tons and tons of settings that you could even need in a file manager.
This is your real machine, right?
Yeah, this is real machine, my desktop. I have Nextcloud hooked in here and everything.
You're making Kyle happy there.
And I think I have some snaps installed because I can see those loopback devices in the left-hand side
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you can see I have a few snaps installed. I was just checking.
We should fix that. We should teach
the what?
Desktop environments. We should fix, we should teach the desktop environments to just not show those loopback devices. I think that's meaningless.
Yeah, that's probably a bug right there.
There you go, Siga. You found a good bug on this testing day. Now go and fix it.
Yeah, fix it on Nautilus too.
I was actually looking at fixing it. I think there's a way, but I tried it, but it didn't work. But there's a way to actually tell, this is like internal stuff. Don't show it to the user because it's also possible to, hide like partitions and whatnot. the same way. Anyway, I will look at it again.
Okay, back to the demo. Sorry for that distraction, Aaron.
It's good distraction. We can move our terminal emulator console that has plenty of different settings to it. Whether from the appearance, I can quickly resize it with the spin wheel. By default, the tabs are on the bottom, but with Plasma, and you can customize the living heck out of every application KDE. So I moved it to the top to be more quicker at hand for me.
So for people used to Ubuntu Vanilla and GNOME, this Plasma desktop includes a lot of different pre-installed applications, right? You showed a different file manager, a different terminal.
Yes, but in, I believe, Plasma 5.9, which is it 5.9, I think, there's theme packets. So if you really like GNOME Shell's layout, you could just install this theme called KShell, and it would rearrange everything once it loads up.
With the bar in the left instead of on the bottom, right?
On the left-hand side for applications, and then a panel on the top for your time, date, limits applications. I don't think it likes me today.
I think one of the biggest draws of KDE, right, is its insane customization, right, or customability, if you will.
Oh yes, there's tons and tons of those.
So if you're a tinker, that's Kubuntu is the distro for you.
Oh yeah, there's tons and tons of different settings you can change from the Dolphin console. There's plugins for the K-Runner that you can quickly switch between applications, looking at their statuses, unit conversion, basic math in there. Tons and tons of things hidden away for you to find.
Great, thanks, and it looks very nice. So, Aaron, you have been in the Ubuntu community for a long, long time, right? I always see your name around.
I've been messing around with Ubuntu since, I believe, 10.10, with Kubuntu for about 4 or 5 years, I think, now.
And what is your role in the Kubuntu community? What do you usually do?
I'm on the Kubuntu Council. I've been on there for about, I think, 2 years or so, 3 years. And I've been leading the Kubuntu manual, moving it from Sphinx, from our basic pages to Sphinx documentation, what Python made.
Is that the manual that's installed on your machine, or is it something that we can see on a web page?
You can see it on a web page at docs.kubuntu.org. Let me see if I can switch that. If Chrome wants to work with me here. Is it showing?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes, it does.
You can see it's just text, really, and it's all the scripts are converting it to HTML with Bootstrap theming that Twitter has contributed that we have access to.
Hey, is there a lot of people working on these manuals?
It's mostly me and another Kubuntu Council member, Valerie Zimmerman, mostly working on it. We've gotten a few patches here and there, like from Simon, who's in the Kubuntu community too, and Ted, who helped with the Mac OS stuff because I don't have access to Mac hardware to help with the manual to make a USB drives or DVDs, bootable DVDs from Mac OS X, well, Mac OS now. It's mostly an internal thing, but we welcome any contribution to it, whether grammar fixes, additional content, anything like that.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions here in IRC, and I know you've answered this first one in IRC already, but I wanna put it on air so that viewers know it later. So a question from Coda Europe. I know Amarok, I don't actually know how you pronounce that, is the default music player, but would you consider a lightweight Qt player like Juk instead, or Juke, as this is better on system resources?
We've actually looked at other ones because it's been brought up multiple times in Google Plus community, Reddit, and all really social media that Amarok hasn't really been updated too much, and it's not on Framework 5 or Qt 5. We've looked at other ones, not particularly Juke because it hasn't imported either. Where one of the major ones I think is Bay Qt, which is I think there's a few other Linux distros that have Plasma that's using it as a default music player. That's one of the things we've been looking at. We'll be discussing more of it as we go on in this development cycle for Artful.
I had the Kubuntu phase when I was young, and it was just because of Amarok. I used to love it. It was really hard when I switched back to default, and it used Banshee or something like that. Amarok was really nice.
Oh, Banshee.
I actually wonder why we do this to ourselves. Like, so we have this is like a common desktop platform, but we kind of like, when I'm using Ubuntu with GNOME, I'm not going to install any Qt applications because they're going to feel awkward. When I'm using Kubuntu, I'm going to like purge all the GNOME stuff so it doesn't feel awkward there. I wonder, like, because there's so many things that help these things, those applications built with different technologies, like kind of look the same and feel the same way. We still have this, like, I don't know, at least I perceive it this way, that we still have this perception that it's better to just use one pool of software and not mix and match. Like,
it's easier if it's pre-installed and you have everything integrated, but mainly when I'm using a different flavor, I'm trying to contribute to that community. So test Amarok, test Banshee, depending on what that community is using. But yeah, no longer. Now I'm using a lot of Electron stuff that just looks ugly everywhere, no matter what you do with that.
It looks consistently the same everywhere. Yeah. But you can look ugly or beautiful depending on the application. But yeah, that's true.
Terrible. So there's another question, isn't it?
Yeah. So another question from Coda Europe. Oh gosh, sorry. Hold on. Okay, another question from Coda Europe. Could Aaron give us an update on what he's been implementing with Kubuntu for Ubiquity?
I think he's bringing up that when I went to Linux Fest Northwest, I was with one of our members, and one of the goals was to change and improve our Unity. I don't even know how to say the name of that. The installer slideshow, because I found an old picture of an Ubuntu install slideshow, and it looks just like ours. And I'm like, how old is our slideshow really? And I was looking at all the other ones. I'm like, what is going on here? We've gotten some layout designs for it, and once I finish that, Simon will help me with HTML because he's much better at HTML than I am. My HTML will probably look at the current state as it is now and not change much. And that's where we're at with that right now. It's going to be, I think it's going to be great, but we still have some more months in this cycle to make that great.
Why don't you tell us about the plans for this cycle? Artful started like a couple of weeks ago. So what are you planning to deliver on October?
Yes, I know a few of us have already made the jump to Artful on some real hardware, including me on a laptop. Let's see. This first cycle, we've started a wallpaper contest that we've never done before, that other flavors have done. that we're encouraging user submissions to the art to be included in the ISO. Let's see. I know right now we're trying to get in Plasma 5.10 once it hits official. We've already gotten the beta working on some PPAs. That's what I know at the moment. And then we're going to be working on getting some stuff in for 1704 too, for those users to enjoy.
Great. And if somebody wants to give you a hand during the cycle, how can they join you?
Hopping into, what is it, Katie DeVelve, -Cavelve, is a great way to get involved. Ask around.
Freenode.
Freenode, yeah, on network Freenode. Ask around for Clive, Anrock, UK. They're probably going to be bashing me on the IRC right now for pointing them out, but okay. Go ask those people some questions. All us and Santa too in there. We have our own very own Santa.
Very good. So if somebody wants to help testing, supposedly the topic of this show, but we always digress and talk about random things. Well, there's a good way to help now. Install the Artful version. The archive is open. The daily ISOs are out. And if you like KDE, if you like Plasma, give it a try. Give them a hand testing the new features that they will be releasing in October. And Aaron, you have a weekly podcast, right?
Yes, we have a Kubuntu podcast, which we actually just did this Wednesday. As we usually do it on the first Wednesday of the month, but we pushed it back, hoping that one of our co-hosts would get better because he's sick. But we decided to push on, and we had Elementary OS founder Daniel Flory on there. We do it every once a month, first Wednesday.
Oh,
we ask questions. Huh?
It's once a month. I thought it was once a week.
No, it's once a month.
Good.
We ask
yeah,
community
what do
questions.
you talk about in there?
It's usually held an hour after our developer core meeting. So we get updates from developers, where we're at on what Plasma version, frameworks, applications, and what PPA has been updated that we can test. And then we relay that to our users. On the show, we have a Linux gaming section usually that I do. Let's see, we do community interviews with different people like Daniel Flory. We've had Mario Grip, Ryan from System 76, and application highlights, highlighting applications that we really enjoy using that we found either in Discover or just the regular Ubuntu archive.
You mentioned gaming on Ubuntu. Tell us something about it.
Oh yes, I use my very, very old gaming machine to do gaming reviews. We've done Shadow of Mordor review, Cubes review. The reviews vary from shooters to fighter games to simple puzzle games, showing them running on native Steam. No, I haven't done any wine games or anything like that. It's just native games.
Actually, I have a question about games. I mean, I'm a gamer myself, although I don't have any time to do it really. But I'm curious about the transition in the desktop technologies. Like we had X11, where Steam traditionally ran on, and where we have hybrid exploration for NVIDIA and everything else like that. How is it going to look like where we have Wayland? And I think we almost already always do, like with both Kubuntu and Ubuntu GNOME. I think Wayland is the default now, isn't it? How does it affect gaming?
We don't have Wayland yet as a default. I think KD Neon does, possibly, or as a choice, because I don't think NVIDIA is working 100% with that yet. I think that they're going to be using Vulkan as with Wayland a lot better than what is it now? Not DirectX. That's Windows.
OpenGL.
OpenGL. That's the one. It's just I think Vulkan's going to make improvements a lot than what we have OpenGL or even DirectX when it comes to gaming. I haven't tried any Vulkan applications while running X11 or Wayland yet, but from the metrics I've seen, it's going to improve performance on both Windows and Linux, I think.
Sounds good. Another thing to try. And what about KDE Neon? Do you have any relation with them?
We follow their packaging, and since most of their members are previous Kubuntu members and have quite years of under their belt, we follow their. If we have issues with packaging, we follow some of their packaging and see how they did it, and that we couldn't get it. And anything that we've managed to get working that maybe they don't have time or resources to get it working, they piggyback from us. So it's a very mutual beneficial relationship, I think.
Sorry, I'm going to sound super naive, but what is KDE Neon? Could you give us a description of that?
It labels itself as not a distribution. I think it's more of I think they basically spin a Ubuntu 16.04 image, then add a bunch of PPAs that they host, update it to that, and then ship it as a new ISO, I believe. I actually haven't tried any other ISOs or anything yet. I've just been running Kubuntu standard. But that's my gist of what it is, if that answers the question.
So I understand it's like a separate effort to package some of the same software in like a slightly different way, perhaps for reasons I don't understand yet.
Well, their thing was getting around the 6-month release cycle that like GNOME had been having issues of like conflicting release cycles. Mm-hmm. That their release cycle would be too close to Ubuntu release cycle to get the newest stuff out.
It was always like out of date.
And now they don't have to follow the 6-month release cycle. They can just spin it up right when they want to, and it lets them get around that and just ship what they want when they want, kind of thing. Every flavor has an issue with, I think.
Yes, traditional packaging.
Yeah.
Okay, here we have a question. Do you know something about the Kubuntu testing team? The question is about a place to document the known issues for each version.
Document which one? The GNOME version?
Sorry, I can't.
Known issues.
That's something my tongue doesn't let me say.
Like Simon does for Ubuntu.
Like release notes, kind of.
Oh, document the known issues with Kubuntu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we, or do we have a place to do it? I'm sorry.
Do you have a... Yeah, I'll just read the question. Shall Artful Kubuntu have a known issues wiki page like Simon does for Ubuntu for users to work with?
Is that during development? Okay, I think I see Rick answering the question that it's an idea worth looking at. For example, we have large packet sets and groups, which in development release can migrate nicely all together, but can sometimes not. Oh, I think maybe that's something related to that we have status pages for what the building status is for Plasma, frameworks, and applications. Maybe that's what he's referring to. Not 100% sure.
I don't know, but well, as you mentioned, Freenode, if somebody has other questions or want to dig deeper and help, all the developers are there, and your ideas are welcome, I'm sure, too. And I think all the resources for what you mentioned, the Wallpaper Contest, IRC, the podcast, and all of that is documented on kubuntu.org, right?
Yes, the Wallpaper Contest is under kubuntu.org/news. The podcast information is kubuntu.org/podcast. So if you need to go there, and Rick has sent out the link about the Wallpaper Contest.
Good. So if you want to help the first flavor of Ubuntu, They have a nice community in there, and they are eager to get new hands helping. Any other questions, somebody?
There's one more
Yeah,
question. Which version of KDE shall ship with Artful Kubuntu? I'm sorry, I can never pronounce the. I always say Artful.
We usually just go with the two initials, so AA of Kubuntu.
Okay, good to know.
So Clive has answered that we'll get packaged and tested before freeze as much as we can. I know 5.10 is being released recently, but probably with KDE development, probably 5.12 or something like that. We have a calendar for it if anybody's curious about it, following the release cycle for KDE.
So here in the chat, Clive and Acheron UK have been helping us a lot. Why don't you tell us who are they, what are their roles in the community?
Clive and I don't even know how to pronounce his IRC name. I just know him as Rick. They're both Kubuntu developers. Our hardest worker ones were missing Nilful, but they work on packaging everything amazingly beautiful, really. From our lock-in screen manager to applications to frameworks, they do it all and very wonderfully. That's why they're answering a no a lot more than me, because they're developers.
Well, thanks a lot to them for joining too, and thanks to Aaron. Hopefully, if we do this again for the following cycle, they will jump into the call and talk to us.
Maybe I can push them enough with enough bourbon or JD.
Well, here is the public invitation for them.
There's one more question, actually. Is Kubuntu looking into taking over some of the ex-Unity 8 Ubuntu core apps, since some of them, like the music app, are really good, are also developed with Qt?
Not that I know it, and I think Clive just answered doubt it. I don't think so, because it's not really we really package KDE KDE community software more than external software like that. I think it's really good if some of the developers, like the music app, talk to some of the KDE people and maybe integrate some of their work into there. But I don't think we're going to include some of that or take over development of it. Not that I know of or think so.
All right, and we're close to hitting the 30 minutes mark, so we have to stop talking soon. Do you guys want to mention something else before we go?
Just like that, as a joke. Known issues would be a cool app to show you the known issues.
GNOME issues? Oh, GNOME issues of GNOME. Okay.
Known issues.
Yes. Just like the street GNOME that we went down at Linux Fest Northwest too.
Yeah.
Did anyone notice?
I laughed every time I drove by that.
I think Ubuntu Bungie took pictures of the street sign.
We'll have to check that, but okay, let's close our talk for now. This is, I think, the 4th session about Ubuntu flavors, and we still have like 4 more flavors to go.
That's it?
I don't know how many flavors there are. Yeah, but talking to the others proves a lot more difficult. So keep an eye on twitter.com/Ubuntu testing or youtube.com/Ubuntu on air, and there's a calendar in ubuntuonair.com. So we will be announcing what's going to happen next Friday here. If you want to participate also, let us know, and we can have a session about whatever cool project you're working on and see how can we contribute to it. So thanks a lot, Aaron, for coming. Thanks, Kyle, for coming back. Thanks, Siga, for reappearing. Hopefully you will be around next time today. Next time also.
Still do it at midnight.
Well, it's not my fault.
I know.
Those damn time zones.
Yeah. we just roll with whatever is good for the guest. That's the reason for the wild time changes. Maybe if you are the guest, Siga, you can choose the time.
I need to make a flavor overnight.
Well,
Dude, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. for you.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu Cinnamon.
Okay, you have a week. You have a week. Go run and start doing it. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you next time.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Nice
See ya.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.